Parenting is hard, but being a kid can be even harder.
Like when I fell off my bike and thought my leg was gonna fall off?
Or like when I actually sprained my knee playing soccer and had to wear that clunky brace to prom and I couldn't dance with anybody.
Yeah,
It basically ruined
that's
my
why
entire
CHIP
senior
provides
year.
free or low-cost health coverage for all Pennsylvania kids, so you can be the best parent you can be.
I still think when I fell it was worse.
Oh my gosh, seriously?
Visit chipcoverspakids.com to learn more.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Hey, it's Christine from Storyworthy. Today on the show, comedian Murray Valeriano talks about partying in Djibouti.
I went to a base in Djibouti, Africa. And I'd never been to Djibouti. I only heard of Djibouti in punchlines and cartoons. Wasn't even sure it was a country till I knew I was going there. We did a show on the base, which was great. And afterwards, we're hanging out and we're drinking our beers. Now, you can only have 2 drinks. Eventually, the bartender's like, I'm done. I'm leaving. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And closes up the bar and leaves. And my buddy Mike goes, fuck this. Jumps over the bar. Cracks open the beer case. And like, who wants a drink? And starts giving everybody free drinks.
Today on the show, comedian and host of the For What It's Worth comedy game show talks about partying in Djibouti. Stay close.
Hey guys, Murray Valeriano here, and you're listening to Storyworthy.
Welcome to Storyworthy. My name is Christine Blackburn, and I'm coming to you from Los Angeles, California. Whether you're a longtime fan of the show or a new listener, welcome to Storyworthy. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed the show last week with author Annabelle Gurwitch. Annabelle has been a friend of mine for a long time. And I haven't seen her, though, in like 6 months. So it was really good to catch up and to see her and to hear her story, which was about... Okay, here's the juxtaposition of what happened. She took in a homeless couple into her home.
Oh, wow.
And they stayed with her for like a month. And it's a program where you're able to take in one person or 2 people. There's a stipend. You get a small amount of money, and they come into your home and live anywhere from a couple of weeks to, or even just a weekend, all the way up to like 6 months. The idea being that there's a way to transition from homelessness to stable housing. And it was a very good show. Well, yes, of course it was a very good show. She did a great thing. But more than that, it's interesting because Annabelle Gurwitch is a very interesting person. So go back, you guys. Listen to Annabelle last week. But not today. Stay with me right now because I'm here.
Don't go now. Stay here.
No, not now. I'm here with the one and only Murray Valeriano, sometimes known as Murray V. On Twitter at Murray V, right?
Yeah, back in my old stand-up days when we first met, I used to go as Murray V because nobody could pronounce Valeriano.
I like the name Valeriano.
Oh, thanks, man.
It's very Italian. Your son is Valeriano, of course, right? Frank Valeriano. You do sound like mafia guys, for sure.
Oh, I know. Well, Frank does. Like his middle name is Vasilios, so it's like Frank Vasilios Valeriano, so he's probably running some numbers in elementary school right now.
That's adorable. And, well, wait a minute. And Murray, too, because Murray is it's an unusual name. And sometimes it's kind of an older name. You don't even really hear it that often.
Yeah, I've only met a handful of Murrays in my day, and they've all been like 75-year-old Jewish men. So
yeah, that's so funny.
It took me a while to grow into it. I didn't, I grew up in a very Italian part in New Jersey, and Murray is a very Jewish name. And it took me a while to grow into it, but I like it. I like it.
I love it because you can go by one name. You can just say, do you know Murray? Everybody knows.
Oh, yeah.
By the
I like
one
that.
name.
Madonna, Elvis, Murray. I love it.
That's exactly right. And today you are here and you bring forth the topic partying in Djibouti. Mm-hmm. And, when you see the word Djibouti, you can't even spell it, let alone see it. Like it starts with a D. What is happening? Tell me what's happening.
I didn't name it, Christine. Full disclosure.
I've never been to Djibouti, so I don't even know the country it's in. Honestly, I don't know.
All right, Djibouti is a country.
Okay.
And it's in Africa. It's on Africa, I guess is what you say. So it's
where on the continent? Is
the northeast, I believe.
Okay, so is it near Nigeria?
Oh man, what is this? I just got done homeschooling my kid this weekend. Hold on.
Wait, you mean homeschooling just in terms of helping him out with his homework, or
no, he's back in full school, but
isn't that great? Oh, yeah. He must be so glad.
So
especially little boys have so much energy, right?
Oh, dude, bounce it. Well, I don't know if you homeschool. I forget how old Bama
is. She's 14,
okay.
So she really is kind of independent on her own.
No, this was he just went into 4th grade, and I homeschooled. Both my wife and I homeschooled, but I will just bitch about my experiences and let her bitch about it on another podcast. But it was rough. But it's good to be back. It's good to be back. I'm glad he's with his friends again. I'm sure he was sick of hanging out with his dad, although I loved every minute of it. So I'm glad he's around. I'm glad he's around kids.
In a way, people with kids, we kind of made out for a second there. I mean, if you love your children and you want to be around them. But I only have one child. You only have one child.
Yeah.
So, we're only going through this one time. So there was a really sweetness to it.
I think, and I get to spend a lot of time with even before pandemic, because I tour as a comedian. And so I'm home Monday through Thursday.
Sure.
Which me and another comic did the math and realized that we spend more time with our kids than, say, parents who have 9-to-5 jobs who stay in town. Mm-hmm. It's that Monday through Thursday of 24/7 that actually turns out to be more time than like if you went to work Monday through Friday. 8 to 6.
Well, anytime you wake up and get to spend the whole day with your child
and
not have to have that separation, it's really valuable.
No, I think it's like if we had a better childcare system in this country, we should have like 1 year off for each parent to spend with their child. I think that would be, if I ever ran for office, that's what I would.
Well, I think, and when you do run for office, you'll just say Murray for president. That's it.
Yes.
Again, no last name needed.
Don't make me run for office. I got to go back and delete all my Twitters if I run for office.
Oh my gosh, what were we just talking about before this?
Djibouti.
Okay, so tell me what you learned.
Well, Djibouti is in, like I said, the northeast side of Africa. It's right next to Ethiopia, which I was in also. Somalia, which it kind of plays into my story, which I've never been to Somalia. And Sudan, and it's on it's like it's where the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden meet.
Wow.
So I saw people windsurfing on the Red Sea. That was pretty cool.
Wow, I bet it was. Okay, so I'm anxious to hear your story partying in Djibouti. I've never been to Africa at all, so I have nothing to really add except that, and my audience knows that I really want to go on safari. Like that's way, way, way on my bucket list. Is it on your bucket list, or did you do it?
No. This is This is
different trip.
A different trip. I've never been on safari. I would love to. I love animals, and especially animals that you would see are just so magnificent and so cool. I would love to. The closest I ever did was you grew up in Pittsburgh? Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I grew up in Jersey, and in South Jersey there was a amusement park called Great Adventure that had a drive-through safari.
Wow,
which is probably closed down due to animal cruelty now. But, but we used to drive through the safari. There was like a
giraffe, and they had
a giraffe, dude, tiger, baboons. Like at the ending part was baboons, and they wouldn't get off your car, so there was always a traffic jam, and the guys couldn't control the baboons, so they'd come out with like sticks and knock them off your car. Oh, it was terrible.
See, I just had Carol Baskin on my show. Did you know that?
Oh, right. I saw that. Yes.
And Carol and I were talking about a lot of these, roadside zoos and things like this where there's so much animal cruelty going on, and our country doesn't have any laws about keeping big cats, big giraffes. There's very few laws, and so we don't even know how many of these crazy little zoos there are.
Right.
We don't have any control. There's only 4,000 big cats. No, that's not right. There's only 4,000 tigers left in the wild, right?
Okay.
But in America, there's anywhere from 8,000 to 15,000 tigers owned in backyards. But we don't know where they are. Yeah.
Wow, that's insane.
So anyway, there's a great example, though. In New Jersey, southern New Jersey, all of a sudden you're in a safari park and there's a giraffe. Well, what the fuck is that?
And a tiger and lions and baboons and hippos and I'm in my parents' 74 Chrysler station wagon.
Yeah, sure.
Just sitting in the back, pressed up against the wall with a tiger right there. I do know this about tigers.
What?
They're the only cats that like water.
Oh, how about that? Well, now hang on. My house cat, Baby, she always hangs out in the bathtub. She doesn't swim, but she likes the water dripping.
Oh, on her?
Yeah, on her mouth. She also goes up to sinks. I'm just saying sometimes that's a water cat. But yeah, they're not going to go and lay in the water.
Right. No, tigers will get in the water.
Will go in the water. Huh.
And hang out, yeah.
Interesting.
My first show I wrote on was an animal show for the Disney Channel. So I have all this pointless animal information that comes up on podcasts randomly.
Yeah, it's just all non sequitur. Just, oh, by the way, tigers like to swim.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm anxious to hear about partying in Djibouti, and we're going to get your story in a minute. But before that, I want to ask you about surfing, because I know you surf a lot.
Yeah. And
do you always go to the same beach here in California? You go to Topanga, or where do you go?
I do go to Topanga. I have 3 in the regular lineup, regular rotation. I go to Santa Monica, which is really close to me. Topanga, I go typically on the big days. Those are the 2 I mostly go to. El Porto, which is just north of the Comedy Magic Club in Manhattan.
Hermosa.
Yeah, I get Hermosa and Manhattan confused. Those are my 3 main ones. And then on big days and special, I'll go down to San Clemente and surf trestles, or up north in County Line around Ventura.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's so pretty up there. So do you look at wave reports, or do you just go?
Both. You look at wave reports. You can, the ocean has a mind of its own. So you can predict the most perfect swell, the biggest waves, the most perfect conditions, and then you get there and it's flat.
I see.
So it's water you can predict what you think water is going to do. And most of the time they're right, but sometimes it's just going to do what it's going to do.
So on the radio, when they give the surf report, sometimes they say the surf report, they'll say the temperature of the water, and then they'll say swells are coming in at 2 to 4 feet, or they'll say something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Is that different than a wave report, or is that the same thing?
A wave report versus a surf report. I don't know, because I don't follow a wave report. I follow the surf report, which probably gives you the same information as more information than a wave report, but a wave report is tucked in there. So maybe a wave report is a subgenre of the surf report.
We're going to look on Reddit immediately. But I think it's so great. And I haven't surfed yet. I know I'm really mad at myself, because I know I'll be a good surfer, because I'm very good at paddleboarding. I can do a headstand on a paddleboard in the ocean. I've got great balance.
Okay.
And I've even taken a lesson once, but I forget what happened. It didn't pan out. But I want so much to go. And do you go sometimes surfing knowing that there's not really going to be waves, but you just want to go out and paddle around and chat with some people?
Oh, yeah. Not the chat with people part, but sometimes I look in Europe. I look at, when you talk about what you love about surfing, it's like talking about being a parent to people who don't have children. It's like you can say it, but they just don't get it.
But I might get it. Can you just say it?
Yeah. No, I was just prefacing that for the people who are about to be like, surfing, boring. No, it really does. There is something special about the ocean that it will change my attitude. There are times when we'll be on a flat spell for weeks without waves, and Mary, my wife, will just be like, go paddle around. Just go. You got to get out. You're getting down. You're getting depressed. Just go paddle around in the ocean. And that really helps my attitude in my head a lot. So, yeah.
Do you have, do you know people out in the waves sometimes?
Oh, yeah. I know. I have friends. I have friends who surf. I did a tour of comedians who surf for a couple of years called Comics on Surfari, not Safari. And we were sponsored by Quicksilver and
that's fun.
Maui and Sons. And we would go up the coast and do shows in San Diego, Ventura, and here and surf.
What a blast. What a great idea.
Yeah, it was great. And then I know people that I only know in the water. I've never seen them on land. I don't know anything about sometimes I don't even know their name. I've just been surfing with them for 20 years. And so I have water friends.
And if you see them at Albertsons or something, it's like, who are you again?
Oh, yeah. I was like, wait, I've never seen you dry. Are you who I'm thinking of?
I do the same with my tennis friends.
Oh, yeah,
I do it with my tennis friends. I'm like, I'm sorry, why are you in pants? I'm just not used to seeing people, not dressed in their workout stuff.
No, I completely understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and so I just really want to go surfing. So
yeah, well, you know what? The ocean's always there, so.
I know. That's why there's no excuse. First of all, I have to get a wetsuit, and I should get the full suit because I'm just going to buy a wetsuit. Should I buy a full suit, or should I buy like a shorty?
If you're going to start now, I'd buy a wetsuit because we're coming into the cold part. And by the way, the Pacific Ocean here only goes from like 5 degrees. So, maybe 10 degrees. The warmest it's going to get is 70, and that's only a couple weeks out of the year. So it usually hangs around.
Like right now, right? In
yeah,
September.
Yeah, although
warmest.
I surfed yesterday, the temperature dropped probably about to 65.
Oh, wow.
So it hangs around 60 almost all the year. So there's usually almost all the times you're going to need a wetsuit. I have a pretty high tolerance for cold, but it's getting a lot less as I get older, I've noticed.
Well,
I'm in a
also, if you
wetsuit
have
more
the
than I thought.
wetsuit, why not just put it on? If you have it, you may as well use it. Do you have the shorty one too?
No, I don't. I got a rip in my spring suit on my leg, so I'm going to cut it into a shorty.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
But it's like if you're in the ocean, you want to be able to surf in your trunks or your bikini or your bathing suit or whatever. But a wetsuit is a necessity.
I don't know about that. I wouldn't want like if I had. First of all, I don't wear bikinis, Murray.
I said bikini or bathing suit.
But my point is, no, I wouldn't want to lay like. I feel like you always have to have on like a rash guard kind of a. Like a better sort of a suit, like a Speedo, something that zips up, something that has.
Wait, you won't wear a bikini, but you'll wear a Speedo?
No, not a Speedo, but I mean, like, I didn't mean that kind of Speedo. I meant the brand, you brat. I meant the brand. But okay, let's just say I wasn't a Speedo.
All right.
And then laying on the surfboard, I'm just saying it's not scratchy because it's nice and smooth, but.
No, actually, it's scratchy.
Okay, then it's scratchy. That's my point.
Yeah,
That's why you should have on something more in protection.
That's true.
This has been Surf Chat with Christine and Murray.
We're arguing over rash guards. No, a rash guard. There you go. How about that? How about your one-piece bathing suit because you're a good Christian girl and you're modest, and you put a rash guard over it because you can get a chest rash from the wax and the sand and the board and the wax.
Exactly, and the wax and the board and the sand.
Yeah.
Hey, have you ever been camping in Malibu up at that RV park? It's called the Malibu RV Park.
No, but I know what you're talking about.
It's very cool. You should take your son up there and your wife and go camping. Yeah, it's very
we're
cool.
We're not a camping people.
Oh, I see. And what does it mean to not be a camping person?
We don't camp.
So no tents, no tarps, no Boy Scouts.
I hate it. My parents sent me to sleepaway camp up in the Adirondack Mountains, and it was awful. I hate it. I hate sleeping outside. I hate sleeping in tents. I love hiking. I love nature. Right. I'll go hike the fuck out of any mountain you got any day of the week, but I'm going home and going to bed in my own bed. You camp, you wake up dirty, you have bugs crawling all over you. We were up in the Adirondack Mountains where you had to tie your food up in the tree because the bears were coming after it. Like, I don't need that shit. We evolved into building houses. Like, that's what separates us, man. But I'll go watch a bear. I go to Yellowstone all the time. My brother lives around Yellowstone. We go check out the bears and all that stuff. That stuff's cool. But again, go home and go to my bed.
Go home and you go to your bed. No, I hear what you're saying. I understand. I happen to really like to camp. My daughter does not like to camp. She doesn't want to do it. And I think I got to let it go for now. Or just go on my own.
Right. Anyway, I especially hate camping at beaches, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
I hate sand. I hate sand. Yeah. I hate sand so much, which is so funny because I surf just about every day. But I just hate sand. It gets everywhere. You can't get rid of it. I got a new car. 2 weeks later, it was filled with sand. Like, I can't. I hate it so much.
Well, you're a surfer. That's a surfer life, though, you know?
I know, but I hate sand so much.
I hear what you're saying. Well, get yourself a garden hose and clean your feet off before you go in the house. Did you ever use it? Because you're from Jersey. Did you ever, drink water from the garden hose growing up?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah, so did we. I don't think kids do that anymore. Do you?
I don't think so. I don't think my kid ever. I don't even know if I have a garden hose. I'm looking out my window to see if I even have a garden hose. I don't even know if I have a garden hose.
Ask Frank. Say, hey, Frank, would you ever drink water out of a garden hose? He'll be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, for a lot of my days as a child, that was the only water I was getting. So
yeah,
just because you're out all day and nobody,
right.
You didn't go with a bottle. There wasn't bottled water. Your mom didn't send you out with a canteen.
Right. It wasn't even a thing. It was like you had water, but only at a water fountain in small sips. Like nobody brought a bottle of water to lunch. You brought like a little Huggy.
No, you didn't. You lined up at the water fountain for 20 minutes and let the whole class go in front of you. And then the hall monitor gave you like 15 seconds to drink. And it's like, okay, you're done. And then the next kid. And then the one kid in front of you like puts his mouth on it and grosses you out. So you don't even drink that water for the rest of the day.
You know, you're a parent like I am, and, you're involved with your boy and his school and what's going on. When you were growing up, were your parents involved in your school?
No.
No.
No, but no, not at all. Not at all.
But I don't think it was a thing. I don't think anybody's parents were involved. Were they?
I don't know. I had an interesting childhood where my dad was a preacher, so like the church was first above everything else, school, everything. So I barely remember. I only remember a handful of times going over the homework with my dad. Which was not, I don't want to talk bad about my dad.
No, I'm just saying that I don't think parents were involved back then.
I don't think so
they
either.
asked for parent involvement. They didn't ask for money. They didn't, and now it's all about, parent groups to raise money to get the kids supplies because they don't, it's complicated. But I guess what I'm getting at is it's just very different now. Like I'm so involved in my daughter's everything, I'm involved in her world. And when we were growing up, my dad didn't even know who I was with.
My dad, my best friend growing up, Rich DeAndre, still, I talk to him today. Our parents didn't meet until we were 22. I slept over Rich's. I swear to God, Christine, I am not lying. I am not lying. I swear to God. Funny. Well, I slept over Rich's house every weekend, or he slept over mine every weekend, and we met in 8th grade. And they didn't meet until we were in our 20s.
Isn't that awesome? That is so funny. My daughter had this sleepover thing, and all the parents met on Zoom first. Of course, we all met.
Right.
We had a discussion. We talked about food. We talked about where they're sleeping, dietary restrictions.
I know.
And we're sucking out of garden hoses. Nobody knows where the fuck we are.
Sneaking out as soon as the sun goes down.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there was so much that our parents didn't know. And maybe this is every generation, but I remember, we'd take my parents' vodka bottle, drink half the vodka, and pour water in, to raise the lineup of the alcohol. There was so much sneaking around. And now I have, pot on the windowsill all the time, and it's nothing.
That's so
you know what I mean?
Dude, I took my preacher dad to the weed store. 16-year-old Murray's brain would explode if he knew that, right?
That's awesome.
I used to have to extra sneak around because it was a small town and my dad was a preacher. So everywhere I went, somebody from his church was there.
What kind of church was it?
Like a born again Christian church. Wow. And so everywhere I went, somebody was there. So I couldn't even go out and just be a normal kid and sneak around and make all the stupid mistakes. I had to go into extra hiding because everywhere I went, there was somebody. So the fact that I was sneaking around trying to smoke a joint and then taking my dad.
I didn't know that. Is there any similarity between, Sam Kinison, his father was a preacher? Did you ever feel any of those inclinations as a stand-up comedian? You're also solo, you're also in charge. Mm-hmm. Did you ever think about that in terms of your own father?
I never wanted to be a preacher, but it is funny. My dad and I were very similar in, he's retired now, but he still picks up preaching gigs. So I have the same conversation with him that I have with my comic friends. It's going to be a slow month, but July looks good. I got 4 weekends in July, and I'm doing a funeral on a Tuesday, so that's going to be good. And then I got a wedding. I'm doing Irvine Improv. He's like, great. So I have the same conversation as I do with my dad as I do with comedians.
So that's what it's called, a preachy gig? I never even thought of that in my whole life.
Well,
Like, in other words, he might be invited to do a speech, like you said, at a funeral.
Yeah.
And then he gets paid for that.
Yeah, I think there's, and don't hold me to this, first of all, not all preachers are like Joel Osteen. Like, they don't live in mega churches and they don't make bazillions of dollars. You know, they actually, as far as taxes go, for normal preachers, like it's the same as teachers. Like they get screwed like teachers get screwed, and they don't get to write off the stuff that they use. You know, so it's a whole thing. So I don't want to talk about how he gets paid. I'm not really sure, but I think there's a. I could be wrong in saying this. I think he'll do like funerals for free because it's a funeral, and then the common thing is to slide him some money on the side. I think that's it. I could be wrong.
I get it. Look, I've seen The Sopranos 3 times through. I know how to get people slip money to other people. But I guess I'm thinking about like he does a preaching gig for like a wedding, of course, you would get paid for that, right? Or if you did like an intervention, or you had to do a family matter. You know, or I remember when I was with my dad when he passed away, and the priest came to give last rites. Yeah. Now, should I have tipped that guy?
I don't know. That's Catholicism. I'm more in the Christianity thing. I can't speak. I can't speak to how you Catholics work.
I mean, I just think I'm not Catholic, but my father certainly was. But it is funny. Like, we should make a new podcast. How do you tip your clergy? How to tip your clergy?
Sorry, hold on.
How to tip your clergy? Something like that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I don't know, but like I said, he does like pick up gigs, because he's on staff, like he's a writer when he has his church. So you get paid through the church, and then you do the other side stuff that comes along with it, and that's how it is. But now since he's retired. He'll pick up 6 weeks at a church, like when their preacher is on vacation, or they're in between preachers. Hey, man, we're looking for a new preacher. Will you fill in until we find one? Stuff like that.
It's just funny. I don't know. Do you look at these? Do you find these guys on Yelp or?
I don't. Word of mouth, I would imagine, or maybe just pray.
Are you religious now, Murray?
When people ask me that, I always say it depends on who you ask.
Yeah. You mean your wife would say you're not, and your son would say you are?
No, my son probably my wife and I. My wife would probably say I'm more religious than she is, but everybody I went to church with growing up would say I'm not religious at all.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm more agnostic these days than
it's very
anything.
Personal. Yeah,
I don't go to church, and I'm agnostic. I don't necessarily know there's a God, but I don't know there's not. So
yeah, I know. Me too. Like, how could I even purport to know what I think about that? You know what I mean? It's like too big.
Right.
It's like people that don't believe in the vaccine. It's like, so you just don't believe in science in general, or is this particular?
Well, there's no science that backs up a God. That's my
right. I know. So it's.
That's my whole thing. Look, I don't care whatever you find in religion, whatever makes you happy, whatever gets you through. I'm fine. Don't put it on anybody else. Don't try to make other people. Don't try to make other people live the way you live. I don't care. My mom had a close scare with death, and she's told me, she was like, you know what? I'm calm because I believe in God and I believe in. And I'm like, that's great. Yeah. That's awesome. But don't take whatever book you're believing. My thing is, if you can't prove the guy who said it exists, then you can't put it on other people. You prove to me, you prove to me he exists, then we'll talk about you trying to dictate other people's lives.
Yeah, that's what I say too. All right, you guys, let's get over to
back with religion talk and surf talk after this.
Djibouti. That's right. And let's get on to talking about partying in Djibouti. All right, you guys, you can find Murray. And by the way, you have your album, Rusty Cow. And
Rusty Cow, yes.
You have your new game show, For What It's Worth. And I was on your game show. It's it's like a music trivia game show, and I love it so much. But when I played, Murray, I played against a Jeopardy champion.
You did. Hey, he went back for the Jeopardy. Almost a 2-time Jeopardy champion.
Yeah, I don't have a prayer. It's like, and now the Jeopardy champion and Christine Blackburn. I couldn't compete.
But you did really well, and you were great. And I can't wait to have you back. But it's also it's a music and comedy game show, so it's kind of like Whose Line Is It Anyway, where the points really don't matter. You know, it's really about having fun and laughing and the comedy.
It really is. And people are talking about, over the other people sometimes and, chatting. So it's almost like the people on the panel are also, talking with themselves and laughing and making jokes. And it's really fun. So
it's a good cross up between a podcast and a game show, I think.
Yeah, you can find that over on YouTube for What It's Worth with Murray Valeriano. And like we said earlier, find Murray on Twitter at Murray V. All right, you guys, wherever you are, put your hands together for Murray Valeriano. Yay.
Thank you. I'm always, all right, so titling this Partying in Djibouti makes it sound like a Girls Gone Wild video, which it's not. It's not at all. It was, I'm very fortunate. I've been able to go and do shows for military overseas in the Middle East and on aircraft carriers, Hawaii, places like that. And I went to a base in Djibouti, Africa. And I'd never been to Djibouti. I only heard of Djibouti in punchlines and cartoons. I wasn't even sure it was a country till I knew I was going there. And it was a big... All right. I was also a little trepidatious about telling this story because it has to do with the military, and I don't know what secrets I had, but then I realized if they let me do this, then I'm a comedian. There's no fucking way they would let me get around anything serious or anything I shouldn't know, As a matter of fact, a few places I've gone, I've had to surrender cell phones. I wasn't allowed in places on the base, stuff like that. But this base is it's one of our bigger bases. It has like all four branches of the military there. When I was there, the French had a wing of it where they were landing planes. Some of our allies were there. There were like people in suits with briefcases and security and stuff like that. And so it was a real mix of everything our military does. Oh, and there were even guys. I saw guys one day these guys like just buffed, ripped guys with long beards. And I remember thinking, why are they letting the hipster look in the military? And then the CO, the guy I was with, or the officer I was with goes, oh no, those guys are about every month or so, 4 of those guys show up. They hang out with each other. They don't talk to anybody. And then 2 days later, they're gone and we never see them again. They get embedded somewhere in a foreign country. They grow the beards and
Are they ZZ Top?
Yes. We are taking over the world with ZZ Top.
It's so interesting. Now, when you look at all these people, do they look American? I mean, I guess our country, America, looks like many, many, many faces.
Sure.
But do you hear like only English being spoken, or do you hear other accents? Or is it clearly like, oh yeah, these are all Americans in this place?
Yeah, well, this is definitely an American base, but like I said, we had allies and stuff. And because if you look where Djibouti, Africa is, where we talked about, it's very close to, you can get to different countries very easily. So it's a big base. When I was there, they told me they just sunk like $5 million into it. So that base is going to be there for a long time. So yeah. So yeah, it's mostly Americans in there and a few allies and stuff.
Okay, so go ahead. Keep telling me.
Sorry. So getting to the meat of this story, we did a show on the base, which was great. And afterwards, we're hanging out and we're drinking our beers. Now you can only have 2 drinks on Friday and Saturday.
Did they give you a ticket, or how is this meted
Well,
out?
they X'd your hand.
What's that mean?
They put an X on your hand like the keg parties in high school.
Oh, you're kidding. They X your hand. Okay.
And so I would imagine the only reason they let these guys have 2 drinks is because they're on a base in Africa. They're trained in weapons. You don't want anybody getting drunk and getting into a fight, and they were like, you guys you're the comics. You can drink as much as you want. But I'm like, no, I'll be 2. I'll be with
cool.
you guys.
Yeah.
I'll be cool. I don't want to rub it in your faces. Yeah. So we get off the show and we do our meet and greet, and somebody comes up and says, hey, somebody wants you guys to come hang out after tonight at what I thought was going to be a chief's mess, which is where the officers go and hang out. That's where they have their dinner and where they hang out. And so I'm like, yeah, that's great. We got nothing to do. It's 8:00 at night and we're comics. We're going to be up all night. So they drive us across this base, and this base is huge. They drive us across this base, and me and the other comic, and I'm going to call him Mike. Although I've told this story before, but I didn't get a chance to see if it was okay to tell this story with him today. So I'm just going to call him Mike. we get out and we go, and it's almost like MASH. You know, when we walk in, it's all like kind of tented when we walk up to the door, and some guy is at the door, and our handler goes, "Hey, these are the comedians. They're invited here to hang out." And the guy's like, "Oh, okay, all right." And so our handler's like, "I got to go. My family's here. I'm going to leave." So he leaves us, and I walk in, and for some reason, I don't know why, I thought this was like the Air Force part of the base. So I'm like, "So are you guys Air Force?" And the guy goes, "Air Force? You're right." And like walked away, and I was like, what did I say? I didn't know. So we walk in, and we walk across like this dirt, it's desert, like dirt ground of what's that Midwestern game? I forget what it's called right now. Crap, where you throw the cornhole, like a bunch of cornhole games.
Yeah, sure.
And stuff like that.
Like
so
lawn games.
Like lawn games and stuff. And like there was like, I think there was like a volleyball court and stuff like that. And so we walk in, and then we go into the mess, and you go downstairs, and it seems like you're going subterranean. It seems like this thing is a bunker, right? And we go in, and we walk in, and there's a full bar and all these guys in civilian clothes. And I was like, what's going on here? And my buddy, who's done a bunch of these military tours, goes, "Oh, those are contractors." And I thought, oh, these are the guys who come over and build the rec hall and build the tents, because they're contractors. I didn't know that there were government contractors who are over there doing military stuff that we're not allowed to, against the Geneva Convention, that we hire people out to do. Right. I didn't know. I'm still thinking, oh, these guys are great. They build the bridges. This is awesome.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Right. That's what I thought. And my buddy's like, no, that's not right.
So is he saying these are like contract spies and agents and like top secret stuff?
Well, I mean, this isn't top secret stuff because it's right there. But it's stuff like that. Again, I don't know enough to speak to the ins and outs of it. I only know what I gained from this trip. So I think it'll be enlightening throughout the story. Perhaps, I'm not sure. But yeah, they are definitely some sort of, they're hired to do stuff. Yeah. Let's just put it that way. As a matter of fact, that's what I got. We'll get to that in a second. So we head over, and they're just drinking, and everybody's hammered, and there's like 30 of them. And I'm like, I thought you could only have two drinks on this base. And one guy goes, "We're not part of the military," and like just shoots whatever drink. What is going on? So we're like, "Hey, we saw we saw your show. Come out, let's play." And so we're playing, and we're drinking, and we're having a good time, and we're playing this amazing dice game with these guys where it's like, it's all these side bets. You could like, I bet he rolls boxcars. $5 says he doesn't, and it's like 30 guys playing, and we're playing, and me and Mike are getting drunk, and we're having a good time. And I'm like, "I'll bet $5 I'm cuter than that guy. You're on. No, he's cuter. $5. You're like, we're just having a blast, dude. I haven't had a night where I just drank and just didn't have anything to worry about the next day, and just had a good time with those guys. And I start talking to this one guy, and these guys aren't anybody you would think would be in the military. Like, this guy was super short, heavy, wearing an ugly Hawaiian shirt. And I'm like, "So what do you guys do?" Right? And the guy just like looks at me and goes, "Stuff." And like turns around and starts drinking. And I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to figure out what these guys do, man. I'm going to figure out what these guys do." Like drinking, playing the dice game. "I bet I'm taller than that guy." Just all that stuff. Come back to that guy again. I'm like, "So come on, man. What do you guys really do?" He's like, "Stuff." And then he starts drinking again. And I'm like, I'm going to figure out, this guy is obviously some sort of trained ranger or SEAL, like a comedian's going to get him to crack. But I'm like, I'm going to get this guy to tell me what he does. So I like get him a shot, shoot it. "Cheers. Nice to meet you." "Yeah. So what do you do?" "Stuff." Like, he wouldn't break. And then finally he goes, "Look, man, do you read the newspaper?" And I go, "Yeah, I read the newspaper." He goes, "Did you hear about blah, blah, blah?" Some name I don't remember. I'm like, "Yeah, I heard about that." "I didn't hear about it." He's like, "Yeah, did you hear how he got killed?" It's like, yeah, I read about that." He's like, "We might have had something to do with that." And I'm like, oh, oh, shit. All right. So it turns out these guys are celebrating because 2 of their men have come back from being embedded in Somalia. They're in Somalia for 6 months by themselves, embedded in there. What I can only assume is doing things that that you don't want to, you don't want to talk about. I can only assume they're doing those things that the guy wouldn't tell me. And so, so they show up later, and we're still drinking, playing that dice game. We're having a good time, we're drinking, and they show up, and like 3 or 4 of these guys, the 2 guys who were embedded in Somalia came in, and then 3 or 4 of their friends came, and I'm putting 2 and 2 together in my brain, but I'm pretty sure these guys were killers. I mean, that's just what they were. I mean, I'm sure they do other stuff too. I'm sure they do. I'm sure they're fine with the technicals and stuff and all that. And you could just see it. Like they were very cool. They're you would never imagine. I mean, one guy looked like a guy I went to high school with. Like, you would never think that these guys could pull out a 50 caliber sniper rifle and take somebody out from, 2 miles away. If you didn't know what was going on in there. And I'm watching and I'm asking them questions. And of course, they're not saying anything, but everybody's really, really happy to see each other, because they've been embedded and they haven't seen each other in 6 months. And I was talking to this one guy who's like, yeah, that was my best friend. We went through basic training together. We were together. I haven't seen him in 6 months. I'm so excited to see him. I can't wait to see him. And so we're drinking, and I'm trying to get as much information and talk to these guys as possible. And my buddy Mike, who we're calling Mike, he prefaced this night by going, hey, if we get into this place, I'm lighting this place up, man. I am having the time of my life tonight. I haven't tied one on in a long time, and I'm going for it. And he
tied one on. Yeah.
He was drinking, and I was drinking. This was my first. I'd just done a stint at stay-at-home dad. Think those guys embedded in Somalia had it rough. I was a stay-at-home dad, so this was kind of like my first night in like a year. To really just kind of let loose. And so we were just drinking and having a good time with these guys, playing that dice game. I bet I can jump higher than that guy. $10. Who wants it? Like all this kind of ridiculous stuff. And eventually the bartender's like, I'm done. I'm leaving. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And closes up the bar and leaves. And my buddy Mike goes, fuck this, jumps over the bar, cracks open the beer case, and like, who wants a drink? And starts giving everybody free drinks and just starts pouring them. And now, I've always been pretty good about when alcohol has been enough that, like, all right, I don't need to drink anymore. Well, I don't want to say I've always been. I learned a few times, and now I'm better at it after making all those mistakes. And so I decided to kind of chill and sit in the corner of the bar and kind of watch the shenanigans, watch these guys. I mean, I'm really fascinated by these guys. I'm really fascinated about this lifestyle that you're trained to do, and but yet still be able to have that compassion and love for each other. Where like one guy almost got choked up when he saw his friend because he didn't know if he was going to see his friend again. You know what I mean? So there's a real interesting
it's a camaraderie
dichotomy there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm sitting back and watching my buddy, what do we call him? Mike? Mike he's on fire. It's like he's on stage again. Everybody loves him. He's having a good time. He's giving everybody free drinks. I mean, one of the guys who I can only assume is a whatever you call him, a trained person who does this unspeakable we don't want to speak of, had this really thick mustache and this pulled back wavy hair. And my friend started referring to him as Tom Selleck. And he's like, come on, everybody want a drink. Let's go. Tom Selleck, you're up on the dice. Let's do this. And everybody's having a good time. And the guy has a great sense of humor about it. And he's like, yeah. He's laughing and having a good time. And then he drinks whiskey. And he's like, come on, Tom Selleck. Have some more whiskey. He's like, oh, okay, just one. I thought you were a tough guy. You know how to fire a gun. Come on, have a whiskey. And it's just, I'm like, Mike, we got to get out of here. It's like 3 a.m. This is my first tour on this base. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't know what's going on. We should probably get out of here. And he's like, all right, one more round. He goes, come on, one more round, everybody. Murr, here, have a beer. Yo, so-so, have a beer. Yo, Tom Selleck, have a beer. And the guy goes, nah, I don't drink beer. And he goes, come on, Tom Selleck, don't be a pussy.
Uh-oh.
And Christine, for 3 seconds, that guy's eyes switched from fun guy at the bar to I'm a trained killer, and this guy just called me a pussy. And I'm serious. It was, I don't even know if I can articulate it well enough. It was one of the creepiest, scariest things I've seen in my life. And I was like, Mike, let's go. We're out of here.
That's our signal.
That's our exit. Tom Selleck, nice to see you. Glad you made it home safe. Happy whatever, everybody. Enjoy what you're doing with your life. We got to get the fuck out of here. So he's like, what? I'm like, let's go. So we stumbled our way off base and got the hell out of there.
And did you leave then Djibouti, or where did you go from there?
No, we're in Djibouti. As a matter of fact, the next day I get up and I go to there's a coffee shop on the base, and I get up and I go to the coffee shop and I'm in line and the bartender is right behind me. And I'm like, oh shit. And I pull my hat down.
Yeah.
I'm like, pull my hood up.
You're in a very small town now when you're on a base.
Oh, yeah. The best part of that story is I forgot my wallet at that bar. Oh. And I had to go back the next day after dodging, and I got in and I got my wallet and I got back and I realized I made $400 in that dice game.
Oh my gosh. That is so funny. Wow. That was so funny. Is that the last tour you've done then?
The last tour for no, I think I did a couple after that.
Yeah.
That was only like 4 years ago, not even.
I've never done a tour like that. I'd love to do that. It sounds like so much fun.
They're fantastic. They're so great. You get to see different parts of the world. You get to meet so many different people.
And they're so grateful that you're there. I mean, they just want comedy. They want to laugh, and they want to show you around. Don't you think, though, that's a big part of it? Because I've had to go, like I went on the Blue Angels base, and I've done some other stuff, where and then they show you around, and that's amazing. Wow, look at that. They like that, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, listen, they're really, I remember the CO told me the first one, he's like, go ask them about what they do, because they're really proud of what they do. But the common thought is, they're just so happy to see you and be entertained. Not always. I did a aircraft carrier in the middle of the Persian Gulf. And they had been on that boat for at least 6 months.
Oh, my God.
And they had been called back like 4 times. Like they were headed home and called back and had to do whatever they did. And then were headed home and called back. So by the time we got there to entertain them, they were like, we just want to get the fuck on land. Like, we don't care.
And so you flew onto an aircraft carrier?
Yeah. I flew on an airplane on one, and I flew on a helicopter on one. Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool, man. I didn't know you got to do that.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. And it's something I forget the percentage of people, like something like less than 1% of the military themselves even catapult and land on an aircraft carrier.
Boy,
catapult
that's
off.
Fun. Yeah, that is so exciting. I didn't know you got to do that.
It was crazy. I was so fortunate to be able to do it. It's one of my favorite things I've ever done. I mean, first of all, when you land on an aircraft carrier in an airplane, and forgive me if I'm telling you something it's called tail hooking.
Right.
So when the plane lands, they have to land at full throttle.
Yeah.
In case they miss that tail hook that stops them. So like they have a little thing that hooks onto a huge wire that stops the plane from going off the edge. But if they miss that, they have to land at full speed so they can get off the other end of the aircraft carrier. Oh. So you're going from how many hundreds of miles an hour to 0 in like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
So you're completely strapped in. You can't move.
That's very interesting. So they need to land really fast so that if they miss the tail hook, they can take off again. Basically like a touch and go.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really interesting.
And that's happened to a few of my friends who have done this. It's never happened to me where they've landed and missed the tail hook and had to go.
That's massive.
Yeah. It's crazy though.
Very cool. Do you want to go back out on tour? I mean, not on tour, but do you want to go back out and tour more U.S. bases, etc.?
Yeah.
Now that there's been COVID and all that, I mean, are you ready to go back, or are you still hanging on?
I'm ready. I mean, I'm ready to go tour anywhere, but I don't know if I'm ready to go tour anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't toured in over.
Your son can't get vaccinated yet.
Nope.
He can't be vaxxed, so that's really scary. You got to be more careful because he's not vaxxed.
Yeah. I'm vaxxed and my wife's vaxxed, but yeah, it's still, I don't know where it is, man. I see these people out. I just don't know where it is. I don't know what's happening out there. The thing about COVID for me is you don't know what you're going to get when you get it. I have a friend who's had it for a year, can't get rid of it. I had a friend who died of it. I had a friend who had just had the sniffles. You know what I mean? So you just don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah. God damn. It's really weird to be living in this time, isn't it?
It really is. And I was thinking, like, I got invited to something really, really cool next week. And I'm like, yeah, this is going to be great. I haven't been able to do much because of COVID, and my wife's working full time, and I'm watching the kid. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. Then I'm like, do I want to wear a mask for 3 hours though?
I know.
Like, I'm not against masks, but I don't. If I have
the situation.
to, if I have to wear one, and I have the choice of going or not, that's really like, I don't want to sit in here and wear a mask for 3 hours. I'm not going to go. I'm not against masks. If I was forced to go, I would wear the mask. But if I don't, you know what I mean. So
I know
it's a weird space to be in right now for me, anyway. I can't speak for everybody.
I know it is for everybody. It is for everybody. Well, maybe we'll just have to go back to Djibouti.
Dude, I would go. I don't get political in public. I have my political opinions, and I will say that I'm against war, and most of the wars we've been in have been bullshit. I'll say that. But the way the military is treated from our country is, I will go back and perform for them anytime.
That's awesome.
We went to a base, and I'm not lying. The only entertainment they had was one DVD. It was one movie,
Jesus.
And that movie was House Party 2. Pajama Jammy Jam. I am not making that up. I swear to God.
I don't think you could make that up. That's too funny.
But I just felt so bad. And now we're both in, the unions and the entertainment business. And we get, like, if you could see, I know the listeners can't, but look at all those free DVDs I have from the unions.
Yeah.
Like, why do I get those? And they're going to go to waste. So I want to figure out a way to get all these ones that we have to watch to vote and then break and destroy and get them over there, man, because they got nothing going over there.
Make a call. I think that's very generous, Murray. It's a great idea.
Very generous with not my stuff.
Well, listen, I want to thank you so much for coming on again, Murray, because you're one of my besties, and it's just so nice to see you and to know you're doing well.
It's always great to see you.
And I'm happy your son is well, and this is a great story. This is hilarious.
Okay.
So thank you for sharing your story about Djibouti.
If I wake up dead in a ditch somewhere, you know who's going to come after me, Tom Selleck.
You guys, let Murray know you liked his story, and head over there to Twitter and follow him at MurrayV, and then tweet me over there as well at Storyworthy. All right, you guys, one more time on behalf of the very talented Murray Valeriano, thank you so much.
Thank you, Christine. You're the best.
My name is Christine Blackburn, saying, make it a story-worthy week.
Thanks for joining us on the Storyworthy podcast. We'll be back next week with all new stories. Subscribe to Storyworthy on iTunes and visit the Storyworthy website at storyworthypodcast.com.
Your plans? Today it's dinner with the parents at your spot.
We gotta come back here.
Now, their spot. Or you're on the edge of your seat at the game.
Come on, just one time.
And it's the one. Or maybe you're catching the next flight to...
Now boarding flight 1850.
Oh, that's you. The choice is yours. And when you're with Amex, it's not if it's going to happen, but when. American Express. Don't live life without it.
Dad is the smartest guy you know, so give him a gift that's just as smart. Like a battery-powered smart doorbell from Google Nest that lets him see what's happening at his door and answer it from anywhere. The Google Nest doorbell is now on special buy for only $129.99 and works on any home. Find the best and smartest gifts for Dad. Feels like Father's Day at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Offer valid through June 19, 2022 at participating U.S. stores and online. Limit 5 per customer.